Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 for this, our qualifying reactions for the Japanese Grand Prix, which I thought was quite a fun one. You know, when you look at it on the surface, you go, there's not too many surprises there. When you delve in deeper, as you look through the entire grid, there's quite a few guys who are massively out of place, and we'll get into all of that and more right now. Before we do though, make sure you like and subscribe. Those are the rules. I'm slurring my words because I've been up far too early. Like and subscribe, everyone. This will only get worse throughout the weekend. We'll back though tomorrow for the race reactions and driver ratings on Monday. So all that to come this weekend. Let's talk about qualifying. Firstly though, a happy 23rd birthday to Oscar Piastri, who is taking part in this qualifying session, and George Russell has got him a special present of nearly crashing into him in the pit lane. So yeah, Russell, unsafe release there. I don't think he'll get a penalty or anything. Should be a penalty for Piastri actually, because Piastri got too close to Russell and there was nearly an incident. So 20-second penalty for Piastri there. Let's make it 23 for his 23rd birthday. Q1 though, in the end, was quite an interesting one. Few guys who went out who were quite surprising. In 20th place was Zhou, which normally would not be surprising, but it was because his teammate Valtteri Bottas in this session was 8th. So a huge gap between the two Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber drivers there. Logan Sargent actually participated in this session and finished 19th. Kevin Magnussen was 18th. Pierre Gasly was 17th. And then Lance Stroll out in Q1. He made it a bit of a habit of being out in Q1 last year, but this year he'd been alright so far. I think this is his first Q1 elimination of the year, which is quite surprising with all the upgrades that Aston have brought this year. This supposedly is the best the Aston's been all year. Alonso finished Q1 in 2nd place and Stroll out 16th. Really not good for Lance Stroll there. A lot of work for him tomorrow. But, you know, we've seen before that Lance Stroll is quite good at doing these kind of recovery drives. So I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up in the points tomorrow. But again, not a good qualifying for him. Going into Q2, Nico Hülkenberg has his first lap time deleted due to track limits. And at the end of the session, it's Ocon in 15th, Albon 14th, Bottas 13th, Hülkenberg 12th, Ricciardo 11th. Not too many surprises there, really. Ricciardo just missing out on Q3 by his teammate there, but was possibly the closest he's been all year. So Ricciardo getting better all the time. Yeah, Hülkenberg, a bit disappointing for him, but at the end of the day, it is a Haas, and Haas have been really struggling this weekend, so 12th is pretty good for him. Yeah, everyone kind of falling into where you would expect in Q2. Q3, though, when everyone goes out for their first lap times, this is the top 10. So Leclerc didn't set a lap time with everyone else. He was 10th. Yuki 9th, Russell 8th, Alonso in 7th, Hamilton 6th, Piastri 5th, Sainz 4th, Perez 3rd, Norris 2nd, Max Verstappen on provisional pole position. And then Leclerc did some running out of sync with everyone else, which honestly I never fully understand why they do it. I know you get a clean air, empty track, but you know, with track evolution and all that kind of stuff, I don't know if that is a massive benefit. Although it did seem that track evolution wasn't as great here as it has been in some tracks previously, with a lot of guys not really improving on their second lap time. Leclerc, though, was an interesting one, because he seemed to have a decent Sector 1, a purple Sector 2, and I'm not sure what happened in Sector 3, but he lost a hell of a lot of time and ended up in P7. Really not a good qualifying for him. This is back-to-back bad qualifyings for Charles Leclerc. In Australia, he messed up his second time lap and had to go into the pits. And here, he just had one shot and it just wasn't good enough. You know, coming off the back of him having like 5 or 6 front rows in a row, he's had 2 qualifying sessions now. Really not good enough. So yeah, it was P7 for him at that time. Then everyone else did their lap times. Yuki in 10th, which, you know, is not surprising in that car, but, you know, very good result for him in his home race to be starting in the top 10. Russell was 9th. Leclerc was 8th. He was pushed down eventually, so yeah, very disappointing for Russell. Lewis Hamilton in P7, which I think is the first time this year he's beaten Russell in qualifying. So, I probably won't be happy with 7th, but he'd be happy that he's beaten his teammate there. Looking more forward up the grid now. It was the birthday boy, Oscar Piastri, in 6th place, with Fernando Alonso in 5th. A very impressive 5th place for Alonso. I think that's his best qualifying of the year so far in that new Aston Martin. 5th place for him. Carlos Sainz in 4th. Lando Norris, a very respectable 3rd place. The McLaren, I don't think really has seemed to be on that kind of pace in the practice sessions that we saw. But yeah, he really pulled it out in qualifying there, so a good result for him in P3. It was Sergio Perez in P2. And Max Verstappen takes his 5th pole position in a row, I believe this is. But it was very, very close. The closest it's been in a long time. Perez just 0.066 off of the back of Max Verstappen. So yeah, great lap from Perez as well, it's got to be said. And I think this sets up a really quite interesting race tomorrow. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if the Red Bulls just go away and come home in a 1-2. But as for the rest of the grid, I think this is very interesting. Leclerc's got some big positions to make up here. From that P8, I think he's definitely better than P8. Norris is an interesting one as well. Can he stay in that upper echelon there, with the likes of Sainz behind him and Alonso in that new upgraded Aston Martin? You've got the likes of the Mercedes lads of Hamilton 7th and Russell in 9th. I really don't know where Mercedes fall because they haven't been that great this year. Obviously, Australia was a dreadful result for them with a double DNF. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they stayed there or thereabouts in terms of Mercedes. And you've got a lot of guys down at the back who shouldn't really be there. Stroll will be one to watch coming through the grid. Your likes of Magnussen and Hülkenberg have been very good at gaining positions thus far this year. Valtteri Bottas could be an interesting one to watch. He's shown that he has got the pace here, but yet again we're going to have that discussion of the Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber pit stops. Because I was thinking that when Bottas, it looked for a moment like he might get into Q3. And I was like, it'd be great for Bottas to get into Q3, but it doesn't really matter where he's racing, because he knows that he's going to come into the pits and be there for about 40 seconds and be at the back at some point. So, the Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber car seems like it is quite decent, despite the fact that Zhou has qualified last. When we see it in race setup, it looks quite good, and both Zhou and Bottas have got that car into good positions, and then they've had to pit. And that's when it all falls apart, because apparently the wheel nut wiring or whatever can't withstand a certain amount of heat, so they've put it next to the brakes, which are incredibly hot, and it melts. So, yeah, maybe, who knows, Japan might be a good one for them, because it is a colder race than the ones that we've been to so far this year, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think this is setting up to be quite an interesting one for tomorrow. As I said, I'll be here for the race reactions immediately after. I imagine I'll be very tired. Then on Monday, we'll be here for all the driver ratings you could possibly imagine. Doesn't that sound wonderful? I'll see you all then. Until next time, though, have a good one. Let me know what you thought of this qualifying session in the comments, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.